First off, hey, I'm Adam. So
Nice
I'm
to meet
from
you,
Nidus.
Eric.
We're a service integration partner. So
Awesome.
we basically work with like a lot of these guys, and we do a lot of vendor recommendations for people.
Wonderful.
So I don't know of your company.
Okay.
I'm familiar with most of the other guys. So I figured, hey, let's find out what you guys are and what you do. So
Absolutely.
tell me a little bit about yourself. What's Silverfort and what do you do?
So we're kind of in this gap between some of these folks. A lot of these guys are our partners, right? And so essentially, what Silverfort's doing is we're extending customers' modern identity security controls to legacy systems that are still authenticating to Active Directory, right? So we can take their modern experience, like from let's say Ping, right? We can take that MFA experience and we can extend that to legacy systems like PowerShell, like legacy apps that are still authenticating to Active Directory. Maybe file shares.
What
right?
about mainframe? Like how legacy do we go?
Mainframe, yeah, we can. It's if I had my SE here, you can talk.
There's a way to do it.
We can do it. We can act basically as a Radius server, but that's a different discussion for my SE to take you down that rabbit hole. So what we're doing is again, customers that are still a lot of customers that we're talking to. They have obviously a lot of things that are in the cloud, but there's still a lot of things that are on-prem, right? That are unprotected. And so we can help take those modern identity security controls, help put things like MFA, conditional access, in front of those legacy systems that are still authenticating to Active Directory.
How does it work?
So I'll get there in a second. So the other piece that we're doing, this will kind of blend into it. The other thing that we're doing is we're helping protect service accounts without having to rotate passwords. And this bleeds into kind of how it works. So we integrate at the directory level, right? And so the service doesn't require to put agents on all your endpoints, right? We're seeing all authentication, so we can quickly determine, okay, this is a human authenticating versus a machine authenticating, a service authenticating.
How do you tell?
Because a machine's going to authenticate on much like regular behavior, right? It's going to repeat, every hour or authenticate every hour on the hour, every single day. So it's okay. This looks like a machine authenticating. Once we understand that this is a service account, we can start to understand, where it's talking to, all the destination, all the sources. Because what we find is a lot of customers that, let's say, are working with like the CyberArks of the world, different PAM solutions. The challenge with service accounts are they just don't know where they are. And if they do know where they are, they don't know where they're talking to. And the traditional way of protecting service accounts, you put it in a vault, you rotate passwords. But if you don't know where everywhere it's authenticating to, you run the risk of breaking an application if you miss one of the dependencies, right? So we can help kind of augment the CyberArks of the world.
So how do you protect the service account password without rotating it?
So basically what's happening, right? And so we have a concept called virtual fencing, right? And so let's say we have a particular service account, right? It's, again, we'll use the example I just used, right? So let's say it's authenticating to these 4 sources, it's going out to these 10 destinations on a very regular basis, right? What we do is we go into learning mode first, understand the behavior. Once we are confident that these are the relationship that it's talking to on a regular basis, we put a virtual fence around that service account so it can only talk to the things it should be talking to. Anything outside of that will will deny the authentication.
Okay. So can you walk me through kind of the authentication path? Let's just take like a service account. Like what's actually happening? Like what services is it hitting? What's kind of the decision tree until I'm actually logged in to do whatever it is I need to do?
That might be above my pay grade. Yeah, that might be. You might need my SE here to go.
So what's your main type of client? Are you looking like more financial, healthcare,
Yeah, so
government,
financial. We like to say the bigger, the messier, the more complex is our kind of strong suit. Financials, manufacturing. We are working with like ones that I can talk about. So like GM and Ford are big customers of ours today. Really, the bigger, the messier, the more complex, the better for us. Obviously,
GM and Ford are very messy.
Yeah, so AD environments is, we really, if I tell folks, like, if you're born in the cloud, we're not really going to be able to help you. I mean, we talked about from like a blocking perspective and an enforcement perspective around MFA and service accounts. The other piece is we're seeing all authentication, so we do have API hooks into your modern IDPs, so your Microsofts of the world, your Oktas of the world. So I'm sure you're familiar with this term called ITDR. Right, so we are an ITDR vendor as well, so we can basically give you a holistic view into all your authentications across all your different platforms.
So how are service accounts utilizing MFA for logging?
They're not.
Okay, so you're bypassing because you're basically
right, because like human, right? Because a machine, because the thing is like a service account's a machine.
Right,
there's no one on the other end.
That's what I was like, what's...
So that's what we're doing is that virtual fencing. That's how we're protecting those service accounts. We're basically saying, okay, it's talking to these sources, these destinations on a regular basis. Let's wrap a virtual fence around that. For the human users, that's where we're going to step up authentication, and we work with Hyper, we work with Ping, we work with really all the major MFA providers. So we don't want to change the way the businesses doing today, and we don't want to compete with those folks and say, look, use our MFA, even though we do have our own MFA token. So use what you have, right? If you have Ping and you're familiar with Ping, we'll use Ping. If you have Microsoft.
So what's the implementation like for your product? Like,
Yeah,
how's that gonna work?
so we're not a SaaS-based solution, right? So we're virtual appliances. We have basically an adapter that sits on the domain controller, and what that adapter is going to do, it's going to forward the authentication request to Silverfort, and by way of a virtual appliance that sits next to the domain controller. From there is where it's going to do all the processing, right? So that's all the brains behind the solution. So it's not a SaaS-based solution. Everything kind of sits on-prem.
Okay, cool. I'm just going to go through your thing here. So we got service accounts, agent-less MFA, okay, ransomware protection.
Ransomware.
Kind of like, how's that working out?
Well, so a lot of times ransomware, someone get a hold of let's say a service account, they want to move laterally, right? So because we can see all authentications, because we can see all the protocols of the authentication, so a lot of times they want to use insecure protocols like NTLM v1. We can detect that, right? And so we were actually just part of a ransomware event where we were able to understand weaker protocols in the environment, detect where they were, and deny access to any protocol that was being used with weaker encryption protocols.
Okay.
So we can help prevent lateral movement. Obviously, if someone has a compromised account, being able to step up with MFA, be able to lock in that virtual fence around the service accounts is the way to mitigate ransomware.
Right. Cyber insurance compliance.
Yeah, cyber insurance, right? So we have a lot of customers now who are coming to us because they need to put MFA, they need a fast way to put MFA for all their users on all their systems, right? And so because we don't have to deploy to the endpoints, it's a very quick, seamless way to get MFA for all our users on all your systems. If they're AD joined.
Right, okay, cool.
Right.
So make sure I'm in there. And then Pam Acceleration, does this just have?
This is around the service account piece, right? And privileged users, because we can understand, okay, these are your service accounts. So we say with folks like who are using, let's say, a CyberArk, right? We're not going to replace a CyberArk. We don't do session recording. We don't do password vaulting. But we will say is start with us. We can help you discover all your service accounts, right? We can tell you where they're going to. Obviously, your highest critical service accounts, put them in your vault, rotate passwords, so we can kind of help complement there and speed up that journey to getting all your service accounts in your PAM.
So implementation, you're saying you got a virtual appliance that sits kind of next.
Yep.
What's kind of the stand-up time? Like if someone wanted to do, let's say, a POC.
Yeah, POC.
What's
So
kind of like the
POC
turnaround
is
time?
1 to 2 weeks to do a POC.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward. You use some common use case. All right, you want to put MFA in front of PowerShell, RDP, maybe vCenter, right? Maybe you have legacy applications that are still authenticating to Active Directory, right? We'll test in our POC environment. Typically, it's in production. You didn't have MFA before. We put us installed. Do you have MFA? Okay, great. That's great. Now you have MFA. From a service count perspective, it usually takes 1 to 2 weeks for the service counts to bake in, so we can learn the behavior.
Okay.
And from a deployment perspective, again, because we're not deploying out to your endpoint agents. Deployments, we had a very large financial services company where we were able to deploy to, I think, 224 domain controllers in 57 days. So we can move, as quickly as the customers can move. So yeah, very quick deployment.
So how much does all this cost?
How much does all this cost?
It's funny, people here are selling stuff. That's what they're here to sell.
Yeah.
No one wants to tell you how much this stuff costs.
Well, no, it's so funny. Yeah, I would say, look, for an enterprise organization, what we do is we price by. We have a couple different flavors, right? We have some customers say, look, we want your enterprise license. We want everything you do: service count protection, ITDR, MFA. They have a kind of all-you-can-eat bundle there. Then we have some folks who come to us. Maybe it's a small regional hospital. We're like, look, we just have this compliance, audit requirement where we need to put MFA for our privileged users. That's going to be, maybe $20,000, $30,000. But we do have, our big enterprise customers. They're 7-figure deals. So it's a really a wide range. But the nice thing is we can slice it based on what you want.
Okay. And then what about like support, maintenance? How's that kind of work out?
Support and maintenance. So yeah, we have 24/7 support. We have.
Is that onshore or offshore?
Onshore.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so 24/7 onshore support, in terms of like how the process goes from a handoff from pre-sales to post-sales. There's I'm part of a pre-sales team. We have a pre-sales organization, pre-sales engineers. Typically during the sales cycle, during a POC process, we will get the customer engaged with our customer success team. And it's a nice, kind of firm handoff. I always say, look, we're not going anywhere, but there is a post-sales implementation team. They're all onshore as well.
Cool. And do you do all the services in-house, or do you farm it out? Do you
So
work with
we do
VARs?
so we do services in-house. I think the goal, long-term strategy of the company is we want to work with value-added resellers, particularly in identity space, who are doing SailPoint deployments, who are doing Okta deployments, who are doing Azure deployments, right? Who understand the space, understand where we fit. We don't want to be in the services business, so the goal is to work with service providers to help implement the solution.
Cool. Awesome. Anything else you want to add in?
No, I think, I always tell folks that Silverfort is kind of the best kept secret that no one's ever heard of, because when we talk to CISOs, like, where the hell have you guys been?
Sounds like, I don't know who these guys are.
Right, exactly. Right, yeah, so good. Hopefully we get some more marketing
Do you want to tell
dollars.
people your contact info or anything, just in case they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, sure. I'm a regional sales manager. I cover the Northeast. My name is Eric Daneman. You can find me on LinkedIn. Eric.Daneman at silverfort.com is the best way to get in front of me.
Cool.
So,
Awesome, man.
Nice
Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
Later, guys.